Saw this tweet this morning from Ben Watkins, and I just thought I would interact with it a bit. He says, our material universe is vast, ancient, and mostly hostile to life. Facts that are quite surprising under theism, but expected under naturalism. Both hypotheses are equally probable intrinsically and mutually exclusive. Hence, all else being equal, theism is probably false. First thing is, I would say I think he overstates things here. I don't think the size and age and hostility to life of the universe is quite surprising under theism. Uh, it would be quite surprising, perhaps, under anthropocentrism, the idea that human beings are the center of the universe and the universe was created for human beings. But that's a different thesis than theism. So I don't think actually that it's quite surprising per se under theism. Having said that, I'm willing to concede, at least for the sake of argument, that it is more to be expected under naturalism than theism. So I concede that much as to what he says here. He concludes, again, all else being equal, theism is probably false. Here's my problem with that ending. The reader kind of ends up with theism is probably false as the takeaway. I can certainly see a reader ending up with theism is probably false as the takeaway. What they are in danger of missing is that all Ben is really saying here is if we consider this one data point, that one data point out of possibly millions of data points, but one data point favors naturalism, all other things being equal, rather than theism. So based on just considering that one data point, there's more evidence for atheism than theism, which would be sufficient to say that the evidence favors atheism and thus that theism is probably false. But you could do that and just repeat that process with countless other data points that would favor theism as well. For example, you could say that the fact that we have moral perceptual faculties that reliably track moral, objective moral value and obligation is more surprising under naturalism than theism. And thus, if you just consider that data point, then all other things being equal, naturalism is probably false. And you could repeat that process back and forth with, again, countless other factoids that would either favor theism or naturalism. What that doesn't give you is a sense of what is actually probably false under the cumulative pattern of evidence. And that's really what is most important here. There's a real danger that we're all going to exercise confirmation bias and just favor or focus on those facts or evidences that support our particular view rather than another person's view. And what you really have to try to wrestle with is what is the overall pattern of evidence support? This is not a big critique of Ben. I'm not saying Ben's doing anything particularly bad here. I am, again, just pointing out, I think a lot of people that get the takeaway that from this is that somehow theism is probably false, which is certainly not the case. Um, so, what that would be to conclude is that we ought all to have open minds and continue to look for the evidence both against our views as well as the evidence that favors our views.